Hey man, how you doing? It's Rashawn the Dude Dad coming to you with episode 2 of the DeadRong podcast, man. First and foremost, there's nothing else that we could be talking about right now except for Mr. Joel Embiid and his comments about the media, specifically about Marcus Hayes from the Philadelphia Daily News, and he was just talking about the unavailability of Joel Embiid because of his problems with his knees and what he's been dealing with in the beginning of this year. And so Mr. Joel, the process Embiid, he was a little upset. He was upset, in his words, he has done too much for this effing city for them to be coming at him like that. Just paraphrase. But let's be honest with you. There's a difference between doing something for them and sacrificing for a common goal. See, what he has done is, yes, he has put his body at risk. He has sacrificed his body, and he has had a plethora of injuries, whether it be his hands, whether it be his knees, whether it be his ankles, whether it be his orbital bone when he had to wear the mask. Yes, we know about your injuries. We know about you fighting through and embodying the mentality of the Philadelphians. But for you to say that you have done too much for this city, I believe is a incorrect statement, because the process, Joel Embiid, or Joel the process Embiid, you have never delivered on the championship. You delivering the championship to the city, that's doing something for the city. But you going out there and putting your body on the line for your job so you can get paid for your teammates, and going out there and going hard for them in order to attain a championship, that's called sacrifice. But for you to say that you have done too much for the city, come on, bro. I say that's a no-go, man. Total no-go. Because like I said, there's a difference between sacrificing, going through the injuries, and pushing it to the limit, and a difference between delivering the championship. No one has delivered the championship. Shoot, you never even delivered the Eastern Conference final, let alone an NBA final appearance. So listen, I appreciate him going out there and fighting when he is banged up, as I do anyone who is in that line of work, whether it be football, soccer, lacrosse, field hockey, boxing, MMA. It takes a lot to be that. It takes a lot of work to get to that level, and it takes even more work to sustain that level. And so for any athlete, we respect, we admire your work ethic when you have work ethic. We admire your sacrificing of your body in order to be there for your team and play at a high level in attaining a championship. And it's applauded. And the people are proud of you, and they pick you up when you're down. They get behind you, and they even sometimes put you on a pedestal that you shouldn't even be on. But when you don't deliver the championship, you don't get too much grace. The Philadelphia Phillies, they made it to the World Series. The Philadelphia Eagles, they won a chip, and then they were in the Super Bowl 2022. They get a little bit of grace. But for you in your tenure here as a Philadelphia 76er, it has been, besides being plagued with injury, it has been a lot of disappointment. I have seen with these very eyes the guy they call Joel the Process Embiid fizzle away and disappear in important times. Him and James Harden. Him and Ben Simmons. Him, JJ Redick. Jimmy Butler. All of those guys, they never delivered. They got close to a double doink by Kawhi Leonard, took them away from making it. But they didn't do it. So it's a no-go for me, Joel. Love you. Like your style of play. But I'm just seriously disappointed when I looked at the acquisitions that were had over the NBA free agency and the end of the year, and you being able to be paired with Paul George and then bringing in vets like Andre Drummond, Reggie Jackson, Caleb Martin, Eric Gordon. Like, you have a second string that is as good as some people's first string lineups. And without the key pieces of you, Joel Embiid, and Paul George, this team looks like an AAU team. They lost to the 0-4 Detroit Pistons. They are the Pistons' only win. Maxey can't do it by himself. He's an upcoming star. He's not a superstar yet. He's an ascending star. But when you have a defensive plan that takes him out of the equation, where you can double team, triple team him, and you can put a game plan around him, then those other pieces don't necessarily seem to be good quality pieces, because you guys can't get things done. Your offense looks non-existent. Your defense is small. It's a joke. They're picking on people. Even your big guys are getting picked on. You know what I mean? When Andre Drummond goes out, their big guy the other day was Kenyon Martin Jr. And I don't want to mispronounce his name, but Vaselli, the one that they acquired from the French national team when he was giving buckets to Team USA. So they have some pieces, but without the core, without Embiid, without Paul George, they are a subpar team. Sorry. So it's a disservice to the NBA fans at large, and specifically the Philadelphians, the people that are season pass holders who had to pay buku bucks in order to pay for their seats. And these seats are still astronomical prices, and the stars aren't playing. This is the beginning of the season, and you can say, oh, it's a long season. Yeah, but I want to see you available all season. I'm not saying put yourself in harm's way. What I'm saying is, my guy, you get paid to play a game. You just signed an extension to your contract for $180 million for 3 years. That's crazy. And you're just like, yeah, I ain't playing right now. And I ain't playing back-to-backs for the rest of my career. Come on, man. That's something like you should have kept to yourself. Like, even if you felt that way, maybe you and your PR team need to get together and have some talks and maybe get a little script going, because right now you're shooting yourself in the foot. And I don't know if this has anything to do with them trying to pitch that stadium being downtown and like, oh yeah, we got these people and that person. But you know what? Even though Josh Harris is getting paid, the owner, and they're selling out those tickets on a regular, what about the fans? What about the fans? From one coast to the other coast, even the people overseas, when they're looking at these guys and they're like, man, these guys are superstars. If I don't go to work, I don't get a paycheck. If I don't have paid time off, I don't get paid. So you can basically pick what days you feel like working and still get your entire salary. That's a disservice to the NBA people, the fans, the fanatics for every team. Not just your team, but the teams that they go up against. What about these people that are saving their money, or the kids that are saving their tour money or whatever it is, and they put all their money into getting these tickets to see the superstars play, and the star just decided 2 hours out, I ain't playing a back-to-back. Ain't happening. Come on, man. Y'all gotta be better. Play. You get paid to play. You get paid to play. Not 30. You don't get paid a fraction of your salary if you only play a fraction of the time. Come on, man. That's a disservice to the people. You know what I mean? And like I said, man, I love Joel Embiid. I love the 76ers, man. They're a great team. I think with the pieces that they acquired over this year or this offseason, they have the potential to be an amazing team. But then you got the likes of the Boston Celtics, the New York Knicks, who loaded up, and they got Karl Anthony Towns. And then you got the West, which is the Wild Wild West, man. You got OKC. You got Minnesota Timberwolves. You got the Grizzlies that look like they're back on the up and coming. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a shootout over there, and right now you're looking like the lowest playing seed. Awesome. So I'm just putting out there, Joel Embiid. That's a bad look, man. That was a no-go, man. You ain't did nothing for the city. Ain't been a parade since the 80s, my guy. So you gotta choose them words a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna transition over to football, man. Last podcast, I really didn't get a chance to talk to the Philadelphia Eagles, and a couple of people gave me the blues about it. I'm sorry about it, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. The Eagles, last week, I believe was really it showed the ability of what they could do. You know what I'm saying? I felt like them being runners, them being under center, they were able to give the defense some looks, and they were able to mix things up. When I saw Jalen Hurts under center, I was shocked. You know what I'm saying? I was shocked. But those bootlegs run better when you're under center. You can read the defense when you're coming out, as long as you're not scared that you're possibly going to get hit when you're coming out of that fake handoff. But that play action is going to be there for you. And like I said, man, Jalen Hurts looked a lot better. After a couple of bonehead plays, he looked comfortable. He looked like an elite quarterback. And I'm the jury's still out on this whole Jalen Hurts thing right here, right now. And I don't want to say the Jalen Hurts thing, but the Philadelphia Eagles in whole, if they can replicate what they had or what they did last week for the rest of the season, they are a Super Bowl contender. It looked like it was Kellen Moore's offense, and Nick Sirianni no longer had his hands on it. Coming out of that shotgun, or coming from under center, going in the shotgun, he's reading the defensive end, he's reading the linebackers, he's dinking and dunking. He's not just putting it outside the numbers, he's putting balls in play, in between the hashes. He looked good. Another thing, the Philadelphia Eagles realize that they are able to run the ball. Go figure. Run the ball. You have Saquon Barkley. You can run the ball. Yes, you can run the ball. He's one of the best running backs that are in the freaking league. Wake up. When you hand the ball off to him at least 26, 27 times, man, those linebackers or safeties are going to have to come up. That's when you go for that big play. That's when you run that play action from being under center, and you can run that bootleg. And when they try to hone in on Jalen Hurts, you can throw it over the top. You got skinny Batman. You got Calcaterra. You got... They're loaded. When they're playing to their potential, they are a scary team. If they can mimic that for the rest of the season, they will be a team that are a potential Super Bowl contender. But they got to stick with the game plan and not Sirianni's game plan. That's that. But another thing that I've been hearing, unfortunately, especially in the Philadelphia area, whether it be on the radios or the podcasts or whatever social media platforms you take your information about sports, it's the Jalen Hurts hate. I don't know what's up with this hate of Jalen Hurts. I don't know what's up with the diminishing of his talent and of his accolades and that which he has accomplished up to this time in his young career. But you got to give the young man some grace. Yeah, he might struggle with reading some defenses here and there, but overall, up until that collapse last year, he had one of the best statistical careers there is for any quarterback, period. And if you want to put him in the company of a Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, One thing that he's done that they have not done is taking his team to the Super Bowl. Right? He's taking his team to the Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson's, he's a beast. Josh Allen, he's a beast. When you talk about the elite quarterbacks in this league, those names come up. But they've never, ever been to a Super Bowl. He went to a Super Bowl in the second year. Right? So when we talk about Jalen Hurts, let's give this young man some grace and let's give respect where respect due. Because he may have a good game. He'll have a good game and he'll ball out. There was turnovers. So they're like, oh man, he's turnover prone. He's this, he's that. All right. So now he doesn't have that many turnovers. Yeah, he can't read a defense. He can't go under center. Boom. Last week they go under center. He had like one or two bonehead plays, right? But then after that, man, he balled out. And I'm just gonna give you, I'm gonna give you a few stats. You know what they say? Men lie, women lie, but numbers don't lie. So I'm gonna give you something that don't lie. 1,651 passing yards, right? That's tied for 16th in the league. 8 touchdowns, also tied for 16th in the league. 9 interceptions. QBR 66.9. That's for the 7th in the league out of the quarterbacks, right? Those are Patrick Mahomes stats. Patrick Mahomes. His team is undefeated, by the way. I don't know if you know that team. Back-to-back champions. Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, they're undefeated. Those are his numbers, but they're making it happen, right? So now let's talk about Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, 1,544 yards, 8 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, QBR, 69.2. And that's above Patrick Mahomes. That's Jalen Hurts. Is it pedestrian? It's middle of the pack. It's middle of the pack, right? But don't talk crazy about Jalen Hurts, and when Patrick Mahomes has statistical or stats that are worse than Jalen Hurts, why don't you throw some of that shade on Patrick Mahomes too? So give respect where respect due. You know what I mean? Young man Jalen Hurts, he's been balling out for the duration of his career, barring those last couple of games last year. You know what I'm saying? So let's keep it real. When it comes to quarterback, let's put everybody in the same, I don't want to say the same category, but let's just give them the same microscope. Let's put them all under the same lens when we're talking about their stats. You know what I mean? You can't just pick and choose who's elite, who's not elite, when they all have similar, well, not they, but you know, the two that I gave you have similar stats for 2024. You know what I mean? It's just something to think about, right? And so, speaking of the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, I'm looking forward to them going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man. Yeah, Todd Bowles' defense, they're for real. They're for real. And I think that if Mike Evans and Chris Godwin play on Monday, it should be a good game. But if they don't play, I don't really think that they stand a chance. I just don't know who else they're going to go to. Meaning Baker Mayfield and the Bucs. I don't know who you're going to throw the ball to. Yeah, they do have a pretty decent running back room, but I just don't know. I don't think they can get with Spags' defense without Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. And not to mention that Spags has been calling the best defense there is in the league since Bill Belichick was not going into the postseason. When it comes to the postseason, I mean, overall he has, but in the postseason for sure. You know what I mean? And so I'm eager to see that. I'm eager to see the Detroit Lions go against the Green Bay Packers. And again, man, the NFC North is stacked. It's going to be so hard for teams like the Philadelphia Eagles, for the entire NFC West, to be honest, for any team to come through as a wild card when you got the Vikings, the Packers, and the Detroit Lions all balling out of their minds. And if you don't win your division, which the Eagles are not winning their division right now, just right now. I'm not saying, I don't know what's going to happen in the second half of this season, but for right now, Washington Redskins got that, or Washington Commanders got that thing sewed up. Jaden Daniels looking like a stud all year. So unless you win your division, I believe pretty much everybody, except for the Chicago Bears, the entire NFC North is going to be in the playoffs. You know what I mean? So you got to ball out, man. Trade deadline's coming up. I think that the Raiders should have a fire sale. I think they need to get rid of Max Crosby. They need to get rid of anything or anyone that they can get rid of for draft capital, because right now this is a rebuild. It's the inevitable. It's something that I guess we've been seeing it writing on the wall for all these years, but for sure they are done. Stick a fork in them. Raiders are freaking cooked. Now, I also believe that the New York Jets should be doing the same thing. They may be deceived because they won against the Texans the other day, but let's be for real. They're not a contender in the AFC. They're not in a contender even in the AFC East, right? They're not. So this loss or that win, was really a loss, because honestly, maybe you should just be tanking. Let's be for real. Get rid of Devontae Adams. Get rid of Sauce Gardner. Get rid of all of these dudes that you think that you could potentially flip for some good draft capital, and let them do their thing. Let these other teams get better. And I'm going to tell you one thing. I would love for Max Crosby to be in a 49ers uniform. Yeah. I would love to be reunited with a DeForest Buckner, Javon Kinlaw. Let me get them guys back. Let me get them back. Indianapolis Colts, they look like they're tanking too. It's unfortunate their situation with Anthony Richardson, but he's a young bull. My man said, boss, I'm tired, boss. Dog tired, boss. I need to get out. Yeah. Wasn't a good look for him, but he's a young bull, man. They got to let these young guns develop. I think that's a lost art. Something that even Tom Brady says. He's like, these guys are learning plays. They're not being developed and learning the system. They're not learning to be better professionals. And I agree with him. I agree with Tom Brady. These kids aren't getting a chance to develop. They're getting thrown into the fire for the sake of their franchise. And look at a guy like Daniel Jones. He's a bum. There's no other way around it. He's like, when it comes to QBing in this league, he's a bum. He's going to be making his 71st or 72nd start. And he even had got another deal and is getting paid like $50 million a year. And this young guy is getting benched immediately. You know what I mean? I don't expect the coach to go down with the ship. Some of these guys are playing for their careers or coaching for their careers. And so I get it. But at the same time, if that was the play, why not just let that young man sit behind a good vet, learn, and when he was ready, just like Jordan Love, you bring him up. Same thing happened to Aaron Rodgers with Brett Favre. You know what I mean? So that's where I stand on that. I appreciate everybody who stayed for the duration. This is Rashawn the Doodad with the DeadRong podcast, part 2. Hope to see you guys soon, and we'll talk after the trade deadline.